Alright, so this is the executive summary. Technology in the workforce has grown exponentially because of the pandemic. Working from home through a laptop has become very common. In this new digital world, companies can now use the best and lowest global cost talent while reducing real estate costs. Companies need to train and inform digital employees how to work together and finish projects and deadlines. Virtual leaders will need to immerse within companies to keep them successful. Virtual leaders will need to learn different strategies and skill sets to get across to their remote employees.
Slide stated that the pandemic has led to many businesses conducting their work virtually. The coronavirus has affected leaders specifically as they are not able to lead face to face, so they must create a whole new version of leadership, which is virtual leadership. Virtual leadership has become a skill desired by many companies, has become the norm of leadership in today's world. As coronavirus isn't going anywhere, it really has become the norm. Today we will discuss what virtual leadership is, the difference between virtual leadership and in-person leadership, the pros and cons of each version of leadership, how to lead virtually successfully, and which companies are prime examples of what leading virtually successfully should be.
What is virtual leadership and why is it important? So, a lot of people assume virtual leadership is the same thing as in-person leadership. And while they're not wrong, there is an actual definition. So virtual leadership is a form of leadership that requires management by way of remote workplace environment. Everyone's working remotely. Not everyone. A lot of people are working remotely. Work still needs to get done. So leaders have to adapt how they manage their teams so that they are able to achieve deadlines. Which is the next point. So much like in-person leaders, the goal of virtual leaders is to motivate their teams and to keep their teams on task to achieve a common goal, achieve a desired outcome, whatever the end goal should be. Virtual leaders, much like in-person leaders, need to keep their teams on task to achieve those goals. Because the nature of virtual teams allows people to be away from the office or away from a centralized location where everyone normally would be, there's an increased level of accountability placed upon teammates. Everyone is working from home or from a library or from wherever they are. Things need to get done. So there's an increased level of accountability placed on teammates. So why does all of this matter? Especially in today's day and age when a lot of people are working remotely, why is virtual leadership important? So sort of piggybacking off that last point about increased accountability, it builds trust amongst teams. So teams rely on each other, rely on teammates to achieve a common goal. So by working remotely, there is a great level of trust to make sure that things are getting done and that no one's dropping the ball. Virtual leadership also encourages collaboration in order to meet deadlines because there is no centralized place where anyone can go and meet up, or someone may be working from home, someone may be in the office, someone may be on a sales call out of state, so they're in a hotel room. Things still need to get done, regardless of where people are. So virtual leaders and virtual leadership encourages collaboration in order to get things done and get that required goals are achieved. Also, virtual leadership embraces technology. I mean, the fact that 5-10 years ago, some industries would say, my whole workforce will be, conducting meetings remotely, may seem like a foreign concept. Now it seems like everyone either has Zoom or Google Meet or Teams, Microsoft Teams, to get done. I mean, even though my office is pretty much fully back, we still use Teams all the time. It saves on email and it's just more efficient, we feel like. And virtual leadership also promotes productivity. Because everyone is home, studies have shown that by having people work autonomously, they strive to do better than if they were in an environment such as an office where someone may be micromanaging them or constant check-ins. They have the ability to sort of go above and beyond in order to meet the deadlines. So that's in a nutshell is what virtual leadership is and why it's important.
So for the pros of virtual leadership, I stated that leading virtually gives businesses the ability to select from a wider pool of employees from all over the world. This would overall lead to better employees who will make it easier to be led. So since we are leading virtually, you're not just forced to pick a certain amount of employees from a certain region that your business is in. Since you're virtual, you can hire somebody from Hong Kong all the way to South Korea if needed to. Virtual leadership also allows different types of leaders to thrive. An example would be leaders who thrive with showcasing the analytical side of any business. They'll be able to showcase much more of that side of the business in the virtual environment. So those who are very good with numbers, anything like that, they'll be able to utilize the tools that the internet offers so that they can showcase the analytical side of the business much more to their employees. The cons of virtual leadership, since the environment of the business is virtual, forces leaders to place more trust in their employees. Just a non-person to micromanage and make sure every assignment is completed to their standards. So since everybody's working from home or wherever they're working from over Zoom, most leaders are forced to be like, okay, I'm giving you the responsibility to complete this and I'm trusting you enough to do it the way I would like you to do it. So without that micromanage ability for leaders to, look over their employees' shoulders and make sure they're doing everything correctly, you have to take that away and just fully trust their employees. In a virtual environment, it also makes it harder to create team bonding events to create chemistry within the group. Just due to everybody being separate, it's very hard to make ideas and different type of events that could make sure all the chemistry of the team of employees is being built upon just because everyone's working from home. So that's one conflict. So pros of in-person leadership, there's fewer distractions for employees in an in-person environment, such as children or pets. This allows leaders to keep fewer tabs on their employees and allow them to work freely. So since they are in person now, the leaders are there to be able to answer any questions the employees may have. And also there's less, no kids around, no pets around. It's a fully professional environment that'll be able to thrive with ideas, etc. A leader also has more of an array of activities for their employees to do at an in-person environment for team bonding and chemistry. So with everybody being in person, there's much more ideas I could formulate that would give the leader an idea to create different team chemistry events, etc. Cons of in-person leadership. While leading in an in-person environment during the pandemic, there's always a risk of the others contracting COVID, no matter the precautions taken. So COVID is a very prevalent thing still. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So anytime there's someone who's in person, whether they're masked or vaccinated, etc., there's still a chance COVID could be contracted. A leader will also have to find ways to create more of an incentive for employees to work in an in-person environment rather than virtually, as a pandemic is still and will continue to be an ongoing battle. So there should be incentives now since people are scared to come back to work due to the pandemic. So different employees may have to increase the pay, have different type of benefits that could come with being in person rather than it's nothing at all. Because if that was the case, no one would come in person.
There are three main ways to improve your virtual leadership style, and they're through the three C's of cohesion, communication, and cultural sensitivity. First and foremost, in order to build cohesion into your virtual leadership, you'll have to build trust and earn trust of your employees or your team members. From this, building trust is going to be tough as you have to build real trust rather than swift trust of almost live or die situations. Secondly, you have to build trust each meeting by asking each member of your team how they're doing or celebrate their small victories that they have come through. From this will slowly start building trust within your group. Secondly, communication is key to any group, whether it's in person or virtual. Communication here lies on the trust that was built in the group, and it involves asking other members of their group how their week's going and staying in touch even when there isn't group meetings being planned. Lastly, through cultural sensitivity and being aware of cultural differences through everyone's backgrounds, this can influence how a group is built and the cohesion of the group as well. As an example, in China, decisions are made in a top-down fashion, whereas Japan, it's a group-based decision on major plans. Piggybacking on ways to improve your virtual leadership is building connections from these virtual teams. First, fostering team spirit is huge. And this can be done by leading by example, delegating tasks evenly rather than by who has more experience and whatnot. And lastly, during meetings, focus on the chemistry of the team, not necessarily the work, and trust that they'll do the work. Going off that, trust is huge and is a top skill needed to build connections no matter what the situation is. Third, instant messaging is largely important because it can you can message someone anytime during the day and they're more likely to get back to you rather than waiting for a meeting to occur. Lastly, having emotional intelligence and being emotionally aware of your situations, whether that's in person or virtually, and picking up on non-social cues or non-vocal cues and asking others if they're feeling all right or just picking up on if they're too stressed or overwhelmed with the work that they're given.
The company that we chose as an example that uses virtual leadership very well is Scopic Software. Scopic is considered the largest virtual company in the world. They employ 230 employees in 20 countries. They managed to do this by employing 5 main principles to maintain success. These 5 principles are trust, valuing productivity, staying connected, creating a community, and promoting healthy living. They are showing that a fully virtual and remote model does work. They are able to have employees all over the world, eliminating relocation costs and expanding the available workforce while still running a successful business. We believe that this can be measured through their portfolio, solutions, services, and resources. Their portfolio shows how they are not just one style, they can make software for any industry. In their solutions, they show that they can move into whichever industry is up and coming, as they've worked in telehealth, cannabis, and other industries. Their services are not just development, they can do design and marketing as well. And in their resources, they are comfortable enough with their position and employee base to create a blog, case study, guides, and ebooks for others to use in their development.